which then became tighter and more restricting because of it. It was like a shrinking island as the tide is rising. But then for those of us who've already left the island of the known, swimming in the waters of the unknown, a similar thing happens, but in this case more essential, is if we glimpse the unknowable, then we do have to turn away. But we have to be careful not to be reacting in a compulsive way, that if to turn away without resisting, without actually withdrawing. Damn it. Lead the urge to soon recall and withdraw back into denial of death, denial of death. We can't know, for example, what happens when we die. We can contemplate our death until the point where it becomes too much for us, and then we will recoil. So the trick is not to recoil, but to simply experience that sense of awe, that sense of terror, to allow it to overwhelm one, and then to move gently away, rather than letting it push us back deeper into denial, so that our being touched by death, by the consciousness of death, is allowed to transform us, rather than simply to traumatize us. This is the trick. This is why psychedelics are so dangerous, because they will allow us to access realms of the unknown and the unknowable too soon, and then we will recoil, we'll be traumatized by it. Even if we don't know it, the trauma will go into our bodies, and we will actually shut down in ways, even while we feel we're opening up in some ways, other parts of our being, our totality, will be shutting down. Once we see the edge, our personal annihilation, the eschaton, whatever it is, once we see the edge, we know it's there. The trick is to move away from the edge, because we're not ready for it, and to move towards the center of our being, the center of life, because that also is a way through, that is a way to see the shape of a thing, to experience the totality. If we're at the center, we can see 360 degrees, and we can see the edge all around us, just as we can see the horizon. We don't have to get to the edge of the horizon to see what's at the end of the world. We know now that it never ends. It's a sphere. And so the trick is to find a point at the very center, so that we have a full spectrum of vision. And from that point, we can go inward. We can go through the center of life, rather than going over the edge. This is the middle way. So this all ties in with what I'm discovering now and attempting to describe about the alternate perceptions community, and this second matrix, this snare that has been laid for us as seekers, sorcerers, what have you. The best way to prevent us, as fledgling sorcerers, from becoming empowered by knowledge is to goad us into premature encounters with knowledge and with the unknown and with the unknowable, because this will traumatize us. We will either be totally overwhelmed and experience a complete meltdown, hurl ourselves into the abyss prematurely, ego inflation, Icarus syndrome, whatever. We will just burn out and be destroyed. Or, as is much more common, I think, we'll experience a milder form of trauma, and we will flee from these experiences and go deeper back into neurotypical reality. As, for example, happens very often when individuals have a big, powerful Gnostic experience, direct encounter with the divine, and they become Christians. This is a way for them to deal with the overwhelming implications and repercussions of their experience without denying it completely. They will allow it to transform them, but in a way that is safe, that actually protects them from an ongoing transformation, and in a sense it shuts down the gnosis experience before it can fully take them into a new state of being. It's like they put out the fire before it can consume them. And of course they will become the most devoted, most fanatical Christians, and often the most small-minded, ironically, despite the fact, even because of the fact, that they have had a true Gnostic experience. So this is, I believe, the way that the control system is preventing the counterculture from actually becoming a fully emancipated, a fully awakening movement. Seeing as it knows that if it tries to prevent us from accessing this knowledge, that will only make our desire stronger. If it suppresses these ideas, the ideas will grow stronger for being suppressed. So it takes the opposite route, which is that it inundates us with this knowledge. And it floods us with all of this stuff and makes us feel that we are discovering it of our own will, through our own ingenuity, when in actual fact we've been led to it like a horse to water. And after years of being parched in the desert, we are guaranteed to drink that water, and that is what we do. The alternate perceptions community is designed then to this end, to give knowledge without the proper context, information without the necessary means to apply it. It's knowledge for its own sake, and it's powerful knowledge, and it is knowledge that can empower, but only if it is understood within the right context. And that context is self-knowledge, knowledge of one's own psyche, one's own personal history, one's own programming, one's own imprints. It's absolutely useless to know everything there is to know about mind control, global agendas of manipulation, occult ritual, etc., etc., if one isn't able to use oneself and one's own life as a case study and to see how this works, and that it doesn't require CIA MK Ultra handlers to turn one into a slave. It happens across the world. Our own parents do it. They don't have to have been co-opted by secret intelligence operations. This is a global agenda which has far deeper roots than any human agency. So we are our own case studies, and knowledge that is not self-knowledge, that does not lead to self-knowledge, is worse than useless. It is deadly. Information that cannot be applied simply overwhelms us. It will either paralyze us, or it will inflate us, or both. Knowledge is technology, and if you have the most sophisticated piece of technology in the world, and we're talking about very sophisticated technology here with occult knowledge, such as it is, we need a manual, and the knowledge that we're being given, it doesn't come with a manual. That's the thing. That's what we forget. That's what we don't even consider. We think that somehow knowing is enough. It isn't. It's knowing how to apply the knowledge. And if we discover things through inner knowing, through gnosis, then this is a natural part of the experience of the knowledge, is that we will know how to apply it. We will actually know things by applying them. Just as when an artist has an idea in the process of creating, he sees the idea take form. Even as it comes to him, he doesn't have to think, how do I apply this idea, because the idea itself tells him how it wants to be expressed. This is gnosis, this is knowing, but this is very different from receiving knowledge from external sources, which is without a context and without a user manual. And if we have this knowledge and we keep accumulating, it's like we're getting more and more sophisticated levels of technology, which we think that we know how to use simply because we've had the money to buy it. We've been able to acquire it, so how hard can it be to figure it out? So then, oh, it doesn't have a manual, okay, it must be pretty basic then. And so we attempt to use this technology, this occult knowledge, without a manual, and, well, you do the math. We're either going to break the technology, we're either going to cause the whatever it is to self-destruct, or much more likely we'll kill ourselves in the process, because we are talking about kind of technology that can totally transform us, our psyches. That we're talking about technology which is sorcery, which is the manipulation of awareness, perception, ability to change our reality through changing ourselves, alchemy. And if we have the power to transform lead into gold, we don't just get straight to transforming. We have to gather the lead, and this is the psychic process of individuation that we all need to do. We have to gather our own lead together. If we start transforming before we've gathered the lead, then we're going to burn out.